Labor Day week extravaganza. Um, let's start off with the big news. The judicial panels were out. If you read my column, you could learn a little more insight about it. Go to MissouriTimes.com. Big panel. You have Gardner from Cape, Judge Gardner, solid guy. A friend of mine pointed out something to me I thought was interesting. Um, these judges had some experience at the circuit level. And I think that's a really interesting point. Having that experience to me is a big deal. You do get, it's like anything else. I guess it's the Mike Parson versus Eric Greitens way of looking at it. You either want somebody that's pragmatic and wants it to work, or you got some theoretical person that sat at Rhodes or some Ivy League school and had folks that couldn't get it done tell you how it theoretically should happen. I like that. I think those judges that have been at that local level, they actually adjudicate and practice under this. I think it's also interesting. Look, I'm a fan of the Missouri plan. I'll just tell you, I think it's done very well by the state. I think it's people look at our state a little odd, and we have these commissions set up, like the Public Service Commission, like the Judicial Commission, the Conservation Commission. It's made for a slow move, and I as many of you know, I've always been a Republican, but I'm quite complimentary of Jay Nixon. I think history makes his time in office look better all the time. And I'll say this: I think the mistake he made that was taking it. I think the conventional wisdom was when they left for his last session is look, a lot of things Governor Nixon wanted to do, they were not going to do. They in May, you didn't really think we'd win the governorship. Really, Chris Koster looked as though he would win the governorship. And I think he thought he was turning over to Governor Koster and was leaving the state in good hands. Well, Donald Trump came and upended all politics, including Missouri's. And instead, he handed it off to somebody that just didn't give a damn about the state, didn't care if it added up, didn't care if it worked. He just wanted attention. Look at me, look at me. And when he did, he left these boards and commissions, which usually means it should take a while to formally implement what you want to do administratively. Now, through the state legislature, or the elected will of the people, you pass a law, you pass a bill. That's what happens. But with these boards and commissions, it's so important. And Governor Parson, I honestly don't think he can look Missourians in the eye and say, I'm leaving it better than I found it, if he doesn't fill those boards and commission spots. And so while folks, the Missouri plan, well, the Missouri plan now is working. The Democrats held the governorship for what was it, Kelton, like 18 of 24 years leading up to Greitens, who was also a Democrat. He held it for, about 10,000 hours. He was governor before he finally smeared the state.
Just about.
Yeah, give or take 10,000 hours. And now you've had a good Southwest Missouri sheriff, and it's taken him 6 years to get a full appointed commission. Now, all the lay spots are now appointed by him. And I think you're seeing that reflected in the panels he's receiving. Governor Greitens' panel had Judge Powell, which is a good pick, solid pick. I don't think anybody's regretting that. If Judge Powell was on this panel and he was selected, okay, good deal. I think the folks that said he was going to be a radical, he's not been a radical at all. Been a very good judge. He's got some respect from his colleagues. I think that if Judge Powell was on this panel, you could look at him and totally select him out of the three. Take off either one and replace him. He's still a very good pick. However, I'll be honest with you. I honestly don't think that Governor Greitens at the time, I think he only had one pick that a Republican, which he was pretending to be at the time, could make. And I really think that criticism is a fair criticism, but I would counter in defense of the plan. I believe at the time you had all of the lay commissioners were appointed by Governor Nixon. And that's why it takes a little time. Maybe one had split, but if memory serves me, hell, he was only governor 10,000 hours. I think that pick was in his first year, and I think that was by a commission. At the most, there would have been one judicial commission member selected by him, and I don't think that's even the case, to be honest with you. Over the course of 6 years, the way these terms stagger, you will have your own, and this is not a Senate confirmation. You write in Tim Jury, Connie Searpoy, you're in. So that was an interesting. He's now got a full commission, and Judge Russell. I don't know what she was thinking, and I don't pretend to know. But it does appear she made us. I want to give this governor 3 picks. He could weigh out and pick the best person. I also think that as a matter, I don't think this is one of those things where, like, people talk about Mike Parson hires a lot of women for big spots. He does, But I don't really think he sits down and says, "Hey, I'm going to hire a woman." I think by the way he views the world, he views the a woman candidate as the most qualified. I don't think it's like, "Oh, I really want to hire a woman," so we put a press release and say, "Oh, I've hired another woman." I don't think that's him. I think that he has a view of the world that respects women in big important jobs. And I think at the end of the day, if he sees a woman, he's almost, if you want to say he's naturally biased in favor of one, okay. But I think for the most part, he is apt to hire women, and he does, and that's that. So um kind of rewind walking this backwards. Now that the commission is the full complement of Republicans, Judge Russell's the chair. Now she was appointed by a Democrat, but look, I'll tell you, if you have a problem with Judge Russell, it's probably you. One of the classiest people I've ever been around. Um, I think she's a very fair-minded person. Uh, and I think that's reflected in the panel that you saw. So let's get it. Kelly Broniak, St. Louis judge. I think Kelly Broniak's obviously a star. People have talked about her from the very beginning. Everybody's talked about how she is an up and coming star. I think I honestly don't think she'll get this. If you want my honest, just uh, stein of knowledge. I guess is my Jefferson County Sheriff stein of knowledge. Um, I don't think she gets it because of the geographic imbalance. It's not really on her. I think it's a if you're her, you're stoked that she's on there. Um, because I do believe that she's a uh I think she she's probably one that I would dog ear if she's not on the federal bench. She'll be there. Let's track back Judge Gardner from Cape, Southern Missouri, not the Southern District. And if you go back and watch the show, Kelton's got the clip we posted. The governor said Springfield, which brings me to Judge Ginger Gooch. I think Judge Gooch is the favorite because of the geography. I'll tell you, everybody's got a knock on him, right? And I think her knock might have been some of the folks that were promoting her are a little right wingish. And there's two types of right wing, right? There's your Tony Lavasco right wing, right? There's your Jason Bean right wing. There's your Mike Parson right wing. There's your Matt Blunt right wing, who all were thought of as right wing at one time or the other. Then there's just your like angry, pissed off right wing. And some of the folks vouching for Judge Gooch have a little bit of that pissed off right wing about him. As I understand it, that's not her. When you're in these things, you want all the support you can get, right? And I think that helped her. I think if you look at that commission, the interviews did matter. I think if you look, you want to tell a guy that has a lot of stroke in this is Tim Drury. Tim's now the senior member of Ms. Hargis and Ms. Searpoy. Tim will be the senior lay member. He came to play. He'd been through a few of these. It was the first one for Connie Searpoy. You watch Connie Searpoy is an old school politician. If you just got your bar card, send a birthday card to Connie Searpoy. You're going to want to get to know her because she knows how to cut her deals. She's a pro's pro. I believe Tim Drury really helped Gardner make this panel. I also think there was sort of three judges from Springfield, four really in the running, and another in Southern Missouri. You had Gardner and Limbaugh from Cape. Chris now lives in Cole County as a judge, but the Limbaugh family is associated with Cape going back a very long way. I think him and Jack Goodman had the same problem, had the same headwind. I think for an appellate court judgeship, you're willing to put someone on there that maybe they're 5 to 7 years, right? I mean, look at this panel, this commission picked judges who were appellate court judges. You know what I mean? So I think they value the experience, obviously, going through the process, obviously. Can you imagine walking in doing that interview? I mean, it is an intimidating damn deal. Tough questions by smart people, and you got to look affable and smart. It's a going through that process only helps you. So unpacking it just a hair. It's my belief that that Judge Goodman and Judge Limbaugh have a headwind. There's a large belief in circles, Judge Limbaugh, because of his last name and the fact he knows people. And if you don't like Chris Limbaugh personally, you're the outlier. He's a very kind person. And Jack Goodman, through his very close relationship with Senator Schmidt and obviously the Blunt family, people believe they'll be federal judges. And with the Supreme Court pick, I think there's some hesitancy to put someone who will leave for the federal bench. Judge White, I believe, did. Judge Limbaugh did. He's a federal judge now. He was a Supreme Court judge. So I guess my point would be I'm of the belief that uh, the commission's a little hesitant to put people who they believe will become federal judges on before where they'll put them on the appellate bench. And I think Judge Goodman was hindered by that. I think Judge Broniak made a good showing. I think Judge Grocock was a little bit impinged by being the front runner. I think there was a front runner. These commissions normally are not kind to front runners unless they're their front runner. Where I think where this comes to now, I think Judge Gooch is the front runner now that she's made the panel. I think she filed like late. She put her application in very late. Judge Borthwick had put hers in, and Judge Grocock had, and Judge Goodman had. I think she came in. She wasn't going to actually do this. She came in the very end, and I think was able to carry the day with the commission. She's gonna. I don't. The governor doesn't always see them all. I think he put Judge Ransom on. I don't even know if he interviewed people. I think he just picked her. I have no idea what the governor's office will do. That's a good question. We should probably ask that today. But if they do the interview part and if she does okay, my assumption is the governor will appoint a Springfield judge, like he said he wanted, and like he's going to do. If she slips up, Judge Gardner's right there to take advantage of it. If you draw a line across state, Cape is southern Missouri. I wish Judge Gardner, he's from Kelso, which, as you might know, is way better than being from Cape. Kelso in Scott County. There used to be this great restaurant there called Ray's of Kelso. Great food. I can't remember. There's also a guy named Drury from Kelso. It always matters who you know.
Kelso is in Scott County.
Yeah, so Kelso. So we're going to change this. Kelton, can you make a note? Whenever we reference Judge Gardner, he is no longer from Cape. We don't. Southeastern, we don't actually like Cape Girardeau people at all. Matter of fact, I took a picture. You probably can't see it, of a plane. Every Delta flight I hear discharges their commode service over Cape. Not Jackson, not Kelso, not Old Appleton, not Perryville, Cape. None of us really like Cape and Southeast Missouri, to be honest with you. Jason Smith, you know what? I love that old boy. I love that old boy because he got elected. Basically, the best thing he had going for him in that process. People say he got a head start, and maybe he did. I don't think that's actually what did. I think he's a hustler. He'd been working it, right? He'd been working that committee and going to stuff. So maybe he got a 2-day head start. I don't think that was what did it. He'd actually been working this for a long time. That's congressionally, but he wasn't from Cape. That committee, that panel of Republicans in Southeast Missouri were not going to pick a Cape person. I mean, you could have been from St. Louis damn near and been better from Cape. And he's never had his election party in Cape. Kelton, don't you love that? He's never had his election party in Cape, and I love that about Jason. So anyhow, I think going forward, Judge Gardner's right there. He's not going to screw it up. He's been through this process. He knows too many people. I think his interview I've heard was the best one. They thought very, very, very cool, calm, and collected. I think when you're the front runner in the legal community or the prognosticating community that can hurt you in this process, I think once that commission says we think you're good enough to be on the Supreme Court, I think Judge Gardner, if Judge Gooch, if they interview people and her interview goes well, then I think she's going to get picked because of geography. And you're obviously qualified. I'm not, but I think geography matters here. And I think the fact that, Kelton, if you're an old boy from West Plains, and why should you have to abide by a ruling of the Supreme Court of Northern Missouri? It's adjudication without representation.
Absolutely.
Nobody there knows where the current river picks up steam at and where you can say you're floating, but you're paddling, right? Zell Fisher knows this like the back of his hand. He can't know that being from not Tarkio, Rockport. It's 2 words, actually. So Judge Gardner, from now, we're going to say from Kelso in Scott County. That's Scott County, Scott. I'll help you out. Can you make a lower third, Kelton, right quick, and put on this?
Yes, I can try.
We're going to try this. Last time we tried stuff, it was Lincoln and I trying to engineer this, and it obviously went to shit quick. We need to put the Judge Broniak, St. Louis, Judge Gooch, I'm pretty sure Green, and then we need to put Judge Gardner, Kelso. It is Soybean Association, nice enough to give me this right here. Little nip in the air, a little chill in the air. So I decided to don my Soybean Association jacket. Look forward to eating some edamame tonight. So going forward, I think Judge Gardner's right there. I also think the next process, again, it's one thing for the prognosticators, but those 7 people came together and picked. I think Judge Gardner's got a real leg up in the second opening that'll come later this year. I also think I'm gonna give you a little sign of knowledge prediction here. Sign of knowledge prediction. We need like a horn or something that goes off or something to put on the screen. Kelton, do we have a screen thing?
I can try and figure it out.
Depending on who wins the Republican primary for governor a year from now, you could have another resignation on the Supreme Court. I think that is the judiciary's respect for Mike Parson and trust in him. And I think you've got some people on that court that are very, very committed to the institution. And I'm going to tell you, you talk about statesmanship and all this, and I think you may see a couple people step away from the appellate and Supreme Court in a sacrifice of themselves for the institution, and nobody they'll be praising you. Their names will be remembered, whether that's the right move or not. They're doing it for a reason that is totally upfront and honest and dedicated to a cause bigger than themselves, and I have a high regard for that. Let's talk about the Eastern District. So I'm going to say I think Judge Gooch. Don't be surprised if something happens and Judge Gardner slips in. Judge Gardner from Kelso of Scott County, right, Kelton? Scott County's own. I'm not even sure. We don't fact check here on This Week in Missouri Politics Midweek Update, so I assume Flat Doug back. Could you give me a head shake if I'm wrong? No, Flat Doug's good, so we're good. We're going to go with it. We're just going to go with it. So anyhow, I think you saw a big elevation to Tim Jury. He was a machine in those things. He was force of nature. In the Eastern District 1, they did a panel. I mean, these folks are busy. They're going to be busy here. The Eastern Circuit panel out of St. Louis. It's interesting how this goes. Like the biggest one is in Kansas City. I mean, honestly, it just is. Because all of the cases go to Cole County here, then they fly out to the Western District Court of Appeals. So all the state stuff goes to the Western District. All your abortion, all everything goes from Cole County Circuit Court. If you appeal it, you appeal to the Western District, Western Circuit. Western District Court of Appeals. It's the biggest one. Kansas City cares more about state stuff. St. Louis doesn't really care about state stuff. I mean, they're not really from Missouri. They're kind of from St. Louis first. It's a bigger town. It's more insular. Springfield's a big one, but it's where the southern one is. It's not quite as competitive, but in Springfield, it's a bigger deal. Eastern Circuit Court of Appeals. Kathleen Hamilton, I believe, has a Parson pick. Virginia Lay's a Parson pick, and Michael Wright. I'm gonna tell you it's interesting to watch. You have 2 guys on this right now, and I'm telling you, you watch. This was if you'd come into your first hearing and start doing a bunch of over the top stuff, you would look a little odd. It's not a room you come in guns a-blazing. But Tim Drury had been through a few of these, and I think he was very influential in the makeup of the Supreme Court panel. I also think when you're from that Eastern District and it's an Eastern District opening, you get a little more stroke, right? I mean, because it's your area. Depending on the district and where it is, I think the person there gets a little more. Virginia, Michael Wright was a Kirk Presley guy. Kirk Presley, he's a Southern District person. Kirk Presley, very active in interviews. I think Michael Wright is a friend of his. I believe there's some connection there, and I think that probably helped him get there. Virginia Lay is the name that pops out to me. I think in some ways this situation, there was a feeling that she was going to move up. I think circuit judge now. I'm pretty sure about that. Very impressive lady. If I had to pick, I'm going to give you a sign of knowledge prediction. I'll own it if I'm wrong. I think you see a press release for long saying Virginia Lay is going to be the new Eastern District Court of Appeals judge. Although Kathleen Hamilton's another Parson person, I'd say it's between the 2 of them. I give them marginal advantage to Virginia Lay, but that's just my opinion. Let's take a second here. Kelton, we shot our show from United Fiber. We learned some lessons. Last week's edition, we were kind of doing This Week in Missouri Politics Midweek Update after dark. It was sort of we wanted to keep Jim in sort of a mysterious angle, but I'll tell you what we do have. We have some more yetes. So next week we're going to be in here. If you come on the show, then you will get a yet. You could get a yete. Let's just be honest. You could. I think we should have to do this is we'll let Flat Doug pick and see who gets a yete. If Doug gives you the thumbs up, yete. If he keeps it like this, no. Thumbs down. You have to leave early, right? Is that good?
Works for me.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Flat Doug. He's got that right hand, it get a little twitchy. So I think that's what we'll do. Jim hooked us up with some of them. So United Fiber, I mean, laying fiber, you can't even imagine. They're going into the cities. It's going so well. And then big event, the roast of Knight and Hawks. Soybean Association, Monday the 11th, 30 under 30. Give me your 30 under 30s. We're going to start announcing those next week. Give them to me. I need them. I want them. We're going to talk about these folks. We'll honor them. Bring a few of them in here. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. And if you can't make fun of Knight and Hawks, I mean, it's on you. I'm disappointed in you. That's not on me. That's on you. Then when you come in, Kelton, the official hotel of this place, where do you stay when you come in?
It's got to be the Courtyard.
Well, unless you suck. I mean, that's your options here. And I know what you're going to tell me, Faughn. It's booked. It's booked. Send me a text. I'll try. But I've been telling you for months, before this night, book all 3 nights at the Courtyard by Marriott. Don't suck. You have the choices, Courtyard or your JV. And I've been telling you for weeks, you got to listen to your hillbilly pal. Do the Stein of Knowledge. Look around. It works. Duh. Courtyard by Marriott. That's where you got to stay. And if not, I'm going to give you the pro tip. Poor folks got poor ways. Let's just say you're just cheap. Or let's just say you haven't taken my advice and got in on this. Well, what you got to do then is you have to book ahead of time, right? Or you have to show up. Just come in there about 4 o'clock. When you come in, this is how you play this. Watch this. Listen to your board. You come in, immediate left, go to the bathroom, right? The bathrooms are over kind of by where the elevator is for the rooms. When you walk out into the room, you're totally good, right? When you walk out into this room, you're totally good. Just pretend like you came off the elevator, right? Or when you stay there, keep a key. There you go. Keep a key with you. That way, when you're paying for your drink or something, you pull out and it's like, oh, it's my room key because I stay at the Courtyard by Marriott because I'm obviously the man. Then you kind of shuffle it around. So, Randolph's not going to let me tell you this, but if you say the Courtyard, keep your key. That way, if you don't get it done, then you can come back and just pretend like you've stayed there. Because, the last thing, look, the thing you can't be having, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is just me and you talking. You can't be like going to pay for dinner and somebody say, oh, what are you doing later? Well, I'm going to go back to the room and get some sleep. And you pull your wallet out to pay and they see like a Capitol Plaza key. Wow. That airport ain't going to Sedalia anymore. And it's on you, right? That new culvert's not getting put in Kirksville and it's on you because you didn't up your game. So take my advice or don't. You can, it's an easy choice, Courtyard or just kind of JV crap. And you don't want to be that person. You want to rise above that. Let's talk about a person that rose above like, oh, hell, oh, my God. So in this column, I've talked about the AG's race, and I got accused earlier of having like a dog in the fight. Well, I'll be honest with you. My intention was to support the person that Governor Parson appointed. And I was candid with you here and whoever talked to me. The funny part about me you're going to find is if you just watch the show, which I'm very grateful if you do, or if you watch the television show is a little more formatted, basically. But you're going to find I'm a lot the same guy that you see at Grand Cafe or the Courtyard or at High Street or the Capitol or here. I mean, Kelton, wouldn't you say that generally this show here and me are pretty much the same guy?
Oh, for sure.
And I told everybody kind of what I thought. I mean, the governor, he did pick a guy. He appointed a guy to be AG that went on to be United States Senator, elected in a landslide. He picked a guy that went on to get elected as treasurer to be auditor. He picked a guy to be lieutenant governor who won re-election in a landslide. Got the endorsement of damn near everybody in the state for running for governor. I mean, the governor's been pretty good at this, right? So when he rolls out his 2 picks, I'm pretty predisposed to support Missouri's governor. Who's done a hell of a job. I mean, who knows more about appointing good people than him? I mean, let's just be real. The guy's got a knack for it. He should be a headhunter when he's done governing. And so, other people said they were going to support the governor's pick too. So I really didn't think I'd been all that opinionated about it. I actually think both these guys are bright guys and good dudes. I think Will Sharp's a real smart guy. But somehow, I guess here's the thing. East Coast people offend so easy, Kelton. My God. I mean, my mom always said I was big boned, but maybe it's just that I'm fat and the fat absorbs like offensive things and it just doesn't make it to my tiny little German heart. I don't know, but I just don't really get offended that often. But I'm not. I'm from the extreme. I'm from the West Bank of the Little Black River, so I don't. East Coast people, they're like St. Louis people, except they're like madder and they're quicker to get offended. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of odd, folks. Anyway, um, so this is. I'd heard this story happen, and we'll close with this. I had heard that the RAGA, which is the Republican Attorney General Association, so like Andrew Bailey, Eric Schmidt was in it, Hawley was in it. Costner's probably in the Democrat one. I assume that exists. I guess it exists. I'm sure it does. I don't know much about it. I don't know much about this one either because it's a Washington thing, and the only Washingtons I care about is Tim Brinker in Washington, Missouri, and Marquardt. The rep Marquardt is not Marquardt's Landing, but it's a hell of a place. If you're in Washington, go down the riverfront, go to Marquardt's Landing. Can't beat the steak. It's great. Trust me. Trust you. Look, don't take food advice from skinny people. If you the sign knowledge point right here. Do we have a sign knowledge thing yet?
I'm working on it.
The truth is, when you take advice from about eating, take it from me. Don't take it from skinny people. Skinny people don't know. I'll tell you right. Marquardt's Landing is great. So this guy comes out and he's like, he calls Willard, the governor's chief of staff. Look, I know Aaron. I'm not like great pals or anything, but I know Aaron. I've known him for a long time. Aaron Willard's just the dude. He's obviously smart. He knows his stuff. Like, you're not gonna slip stuff by Aaron. He's very well read about policies, which I know very little, nothing about. So maybe he's not even good at policies. I just don't know any of them, so I just take his word. But very well respected as knowing his stuff, and also as a real nice guy. I mean, Aaron's a pretty nice dude. So this Washington guy calls him up. And I'm sure this happens. And all day people call him, like people on this judicial commission now, the judges they're all calling Aaron and they're wanting to know, like, okay, put a word in. And he, this is his job to take phone calls from people, a part of it. So the governor doesn't have to. And hey, why is Mike Gardner the best? Hey, we'll just reenact this. Kelton, can you be willing for a second? Be a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott Faughn. I was calling Aaron. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good today.
That's kind of what he would say. He's a nice guy. I'd like to just know that when you're thinking about Gardner, he's not really from the city of Cape. He's actually from Kelso. Way better. And I just think you should know that. And I support him, but obviously you're not going to pick a Cape person. So Kelso is where he's from. Just want to let you know.
Oh, well, thank you for that information.
That's kind of Aaron. Nice guy, right? Kind of to the point. He's busy. When you're chief of staff to the governor, you don't have a lot of time to just sit around. It's just kind of doesn't work that way. He's got a wife who, I mean, really, the governor probably should have hired her. I mean, I think they would both tell you that. But they have a beautiful family. He's busy. He's got stuff to do. So they call him up, and they basically say, like, hey, buddy, you pick our guy. And Aaron's like, yeah, maybe not. Probably didn't commit. I don't know. The way I heard it was he was nice and took the phone call. And okay. And they're like, no, you're going to pick our guy, Will. Will Sharv has a lot of Washington experience. He went to an Ivy. He went to Harvard. I'm sure that's where these people went. I don't know these people. But I doubt they went to SEMO. I didn't see him at SEMO. So then the guy gets a little over the top about it and starts really pushing him. And like, I've seen Aaron mad, but like not a lot. I mean, he's just not the guy that just gets mad over a lot of stuff. Now, maybe lately, I mean, when you are chief of staff of the governor, it can fry you a little bit. I mean, you got a few things on your calendar. I have like today lunch, then like I'm going to read about the Cardinals, then I'm going to go to Kansas City. So like my day's a little easier. His day would have like a lot of stuff, like take a call from some Washington jerk. And so this guy gets in and basically says, you're going to do this. It's going to be a problem. And like, they're like, dude, I heard Willard tried to like, okay. Got it. It's really who you want. Now, let me just ask you, Kelton, of the people that Mike Parson was particularly concerned about when he was making the pick for who would be the next attorney general of the state of Missouri, do you think Peter Bisbee, a Washington guy, was on his list of things he gave a damn about?
Probably not.
I'm going to say I would agree with that. I just don't think that the governor was like, oh, I know. Let's find out what someone in Washington thinks. Now, look, if Donald Trump would have called him, which I guess that he was the president of the United States at the time, Do I think the governor would have cared what Donald Trump did? Yeah, probably would have. I don't know, but he probably would have. I don't know that. I don't think that happened, but I could see that. Maybe calling the president, any call from the president of the United States is a big deal, right? I mean, you convince me if Trump called, he might have cared, but you're not convince me that what's the dude's name, Pete Bisbee. And look, here's the thing. I get it. I don't have really to me, I respect the folks. Like if you're out in Washington and you're in Ivy League circles, and if you know Will, you know Will's a real bright guy. He's a really likable guy. So you're going to support your buddy, right? Just like the cattlemen are going to support Andrew because they're from Missouri and they're friends with him and like him. And, it's just kind of the way it goes. You know what I mean? Marshak, Sheriff and Jeffco, probably going to support the guy he knows, right? I mean, nothing against anything. It's just the way it is. So these guys call, and I mean, you're supporting your buddy, no problem. But the Washington people always just think, and I'll tell you why. It's because a lot of times they come here, they raise a little money around, and all the Republicans are just like, you ever fed catfish at a dog? Okay, you ever had a stock pond, Kelton?
Yes, I've done.
And you take the cup, usually you get a big cup like a Hardee's blue-sized cup, and you scoop it up and you throw it out there in the pond, and all the little fish come up. That's when Washington people come to Missouri. You can spot the kiss asses. They immediately run up to the water. Oh, give me a piece of dog food. And the Washington people laugh and they just dance and do whatever they want. That's why you always see me when Washington people are doing saying it, I'm a little skeptical. So they're just used to that. So Willard is not really just apparently going along and saying, yes, sir. Well, is that as a S Will with two L's? I mean, you do that. He basically pushes him until he's like, no, man, we're going to do what we want to do. And thanks for the call. And it gets kind of contentious. Which again is not, I've not really seen Aaron get contentious with that many people that weren't, it's usually not him that starts the drama. So, and the reason this is all you need to know about these folks. I got to find this quote. Bisbee, his name's Petey Bisbee. He said the gist was accurate. So Politico is recounting this because Scharf is wanting people to know that these Washington folks are supporting him, because they think other people with money will want to get in. I mean, it's a big deal. The Washington people do care about the AG stuff, and they'll spend big money to have an AG that they like. The Missouri governor's office should spend less time fueling childish gossip and more time stopping the woke special interests that have taken over their public schools, corn man, and state courts. What? He added in a statement. So this dude that just kind of proves to you what I'm saying. Total jerk, right? Total jerk. Then doubles down like, what was it, 3 years later with another screw you. I mean, it was, wow. I mean, that is just the most Washington quote I have ever heard. And good for Willard for saying piss off. I'm going to write something about this. We'll probably post this over the weekend about, what the hell. Good for them. I think we should build a wall on the western side of the Mississippi to keep all the East Coast people out. I think we should have zero immigration from the East, and we should keep their money out of here. That would also be good. Just keep all their campaign money out in Manhattan or wherever those people are. They don't. I'm going to give you something, and you can argue both ways, but I'm going to tell you the right way. They don't care about you. They just don't. They're there to buy you, to color you in on the map, and they don't care. Now, you find some good folks like in every field, but for the most part, those interests just don't care about you. And good for Willard for saying, no, I think we're going to pick our guy, and we don't really care what you think about it, which, hell yeah. We need more like him. Speaking of, all right, I'll answer a couple questions here. What are we at? We're at 34. I'll do 2 more minutes. I'll answer a couple questions here. We're going through here. Yeah, you have seen some school stuff from me. I'll do that one last. Who do you think was the Democrat primary for United States Senate? Look, Lucas Coons had a great week. Lucas Coons is a strong candidate. I'm not sure that you can beat Josh Hawley in Missouri or any Republican, but Josh Hawley, say what you will about him, he's a great politician, very good politician. He's going to run a good race. He's going to have tons of money. Reasonable people could argue about Josh Hawley, left, right, whatever. You cannot argue the guy's not a phenomenal politician and will run a great race and will. I mean, if it was Republican X. I think Josh Hawley polls better than Republican X at the ballot box. Republican X is tough to beat, man. In a right now, as long as there's the trans stuff and the Republicans are great at there's a lot of you can make the economic argument that you're better off in Ripley County to vote Democrat, and you can make that case whether it's convincing or not. Leave that to folks in Naylor and Donovan, but you can make the case. But the social issue stuff, man, that people value it more than the economic stuff and stuff. The school stuff, I'll be honest with you. I'm really conflicted right now about school stuff. We've had a lot of fun with the charter folks. I'll tell you, I'm a little conflicted. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put a pin in this. And Kelton, what's next week? It's the week after Labor Day. We will do one of these on Tuesday after Labor Day. And I'll get your thoughts on it. And then the Tuesday after that, I'll tell you my thoughts. So a week from Tuesday, I'll post up. I'll be nice and I'm sure clear-eyed and everything from our event Monday night. 11 o'clock Tuesday, we'll sit down and we'll discuss this as a This Week in Missouri Politics family. I might play you a video by then. I've just had an interaction with one. I've always told you guys that I thought it were isolated incidents. It wasn't real. Arrogance, elitism wasn't really what run the day. That if you have someone who's truly incompetent, Desi, somebody will do something about it, or at least say something. I've been really, really torn. So, we'll see. So let's just plan, Kelton, to come back here Tuesday after the holiday. About 11, then let's come back the next Tuesday and we'll just talk about it here, and I'll kind of tell you where I'm at. I probably need a little time to let my blood cool, because if you really want to know what I thought right now, probably the person asking me this doesn't really want to know what I think right now. So anyway, score prediction for the Mizzou football game tonight. I like Jackie Clark. Love that. Jackie, it's not a Tiger logo. You're from Lee Summit. This is a Carhartt logo. I'm going to say I'm going to go 42. They got that good defense. I'm going to go 42-10 tonight. Tigers. Hope everybody has a great time. It's good, like perfect weather. It's going to be like it's going to fall. It's right a little high 70s. Couldn't have a better weather for the game. It's going to be awesome. I'm actually going to do a little work tonight. I'm going to Kansas City for the Aaron McMullen kickoff. I'm going to see how that goes. Catch up with a couple of friends of mine, but we're going to have it's going to be very interesting. The most contentious Senate race in the state, going to come out of Independence area, old Callahan country, the Democrat he's got down there. There's fewer of the Democrats there. There's getting closer to the Democrat. But it'll be very good. Robbie Saul's good candidate, hard worker. McMullen, good candidate. Got a primary on the Republican side. Joe Nicole, who ran this in the Lee Summit district last time. It's interesting. I can't wait to ask some folks about that, because he ran a hell of a campaign down in the Lee Summit area. But now he's moved up. Instead of waiting another 2 years, he's moved up into the Independence area, where the district he lives in. It's hard to recreate. It'd be a real incredible political feat if he can 180 that and win a primary in an adjacent district. That's really good politics. It'd be a second time he's running, so he's probably learned some things. But interesting primary, more interesting general. McMullen would probably by far be the best candidate to carry that in a general. Veteran. I'm gonna be interested to see his ability. He just burst on the scene with a state rep win. I don't know if he flipped a seat or whether they redrew it. If he had a competitive seat for sure. He ended up winning it handily, and so see how he does in a Senate race is interesting. There's a lot of 2-year House members that went to the Senate. Kevin Engler jumps to my mind. He was 2 years in the House, and he had a very successful Senate career. See you back here Tuesday, and no show Sunday. We're off for Labor Day. Salute to all the working men like Doug Beck. We'll see you back Tuesday at 11 for This Week in Missouri Politics Midweek.